Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for checking out this video here on Shows, Style, and Spirit. I am Ebony, of course. And as you can see from the title of this video, we're going to be talking about Chris and Nell Fletcher from Love and Marriage Huntsville. They said that they don't even care about being on the TV show and that the show is chasing them. This is one of the things that Lexi, Chris Fletcher's eldest daughter, is saying in her most recent YouTube video. So before we get into the details, I ask that you please hit the like button on this video and please subscribe to the channel. And everything that I'm saying in this video is alleged and just my opinion. All right, so Lexi, she talked about her family history. She did some slight comparisons to how close and knowledgeable she is of her mom's family in comparison to Chris Fletcher's side of the family. Now, Lexi actually has a ton of family in Huntsville on her mom's side, including Lexi's grandma. Lexi is blessed to have both of her grandmothers on both sides. And she said that Lexi's mom, Miss Cornelia, she goes to Huntsville often, about once a month, to see her people there. So I think that's great. Now, on Chris Fletcher's side, Lexi only knows her grandma, her grandma's husband. So that is Chris Fletcher's stepdad, Chris's sister, and one of Chris's brothers. Lexi said that, her paternal grandma is definitely a good time. And, she loves to get her drink on. And she'll even say to Lexi, teach me how to twerk. So it sounds like you get a hoot out of Miss Fletcher, Lexi's paternal grandma. Her mother's mom, unfortunately, has Alzheimer's, and Lexi said, she doesn't remember her anymore. So it's really hard for her to spend time with her grandma with her having Alzheimer's. And I'm very sorry to hear that, Lexi. My mom died of Alzheimer's. I'm the baby, and I'm a late baby at that. So I was 24 when mama started showing signs of it, and I was 29 when she passed. So although 5 years, some people would say that's a long time, to me, it like flew by for her to be gone. And it was early onset, although she had me later in life, but it was still considered like early onset for the Alzheimer's. So I know that that's really tough to watch your loved ones go through that. So I'm sorry to hear that. Lexi, she made the decision to cut off all of the family on Chris Fletcher's side. This was because when she tried to have a separate relationship, separate from Chris and Nell Fletcher and their kids, Lexi tried to still be close with her paternal grandma and her husband, so her step grandpa. But she would tell them, anything that she was discussing with them, don't share it, with Chris and Nell, basically, because she wasn't talking with them. There was no relationship. Similarly, when she was graduating college, she invited her grandma and her step grandpa. She said, but don't tell him because, they're not close. They're not communicating. She didn't want to be fake on her day, on her graduation day. And Lexi said that she is the only child of Chris Fletcher's to graduate college. And I was like, wow, I just assumed Kayla graduated college, especially once Nell gifted her with the Mercedes. So I'm guessing she got the Mercedes just for graduating from high school. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe Lexi will clarify for us. But in any event, Lexi asked her grandma not to tell Chris Fletcher about her event, her graduating college. But they did tell Chris Fletcher, and, he showed up. So I know how that feels. I really don't like that because it feels like they've betrayed you. And also it lets you know you get this huge warning within you. You get this huge warning signal that you cannot tell this relative things that are meaningful and important to you because they're just going to go and tell someone, and that someone is somebody that you don't F with. So that is a very indirect almost manipulative way of not respecting your boundaries. When you ask them, don't tell and don't tell so and so, you're very specific and they do it anyway. You cannot trust that person. I have experienced that as well. And it's hurtful. It's always with someone that you really feel like you've bonded with too. So I'm very sorry to hear that. And unfortunately, I can relate. Not only did he show up to the graduation, y'all, but the keynote speaker at the graduation at one point said, they were acknowledging the support system that all of the graduates had, from the parents to the faculty to, anyone who may have encouraged someone to continue meeting their long-term goal of graduating college. So the speaker asks that for all of those who have been supportive to please stand up. And Lexi said that Chris Fletcher stood up, the man who would not even lend his daughter money to purchase books to continue on in college. That same Chris, where he let his wife say, no, we can't give you any money for books for college because we're paying for Lance's wedding and we just bought this house. Chris Fletcher had the nerve to stand up, and Lexi said he stood up all proud and stuff, and she said that that wasn't the only time where he kind of tried to like take credit for any milestone that she had reached. And I know that had to have been infuriating. She said that she was pissed off, and I can definitely understand that. And I find it funny because it sounds like Nell Fletcher was not at the college graduation. And that's funny because Lexi said after that one Christmas with the alleged mistress that held all of the gifts there so Lexi could open up her gifts, ever since that moment, she never had a moment alone with Chris Fletcher. So it sounds like only he attended the college graduation. So that was one time where Nell didn't come along ball and chain. And I'm guessing, is it because you did not want to have to congratulate Lexi on meeting such a major goal, a long-term goal that takes quite a few years to meet? So I'm thinking, wow, that is very, very interesting to me. What do you all think? Have you ever experienced someone who actually could have been a roadblock in you meeting a milestone, or perhaps they were not supportive and they told you don't do it or you can't do it? And then once you reach that goal, they tried to kind of take some of the shine or the credit. How did that make you feel? So Lexi's paternal grandmother betrayed her again, y'all. So it wasn't just her college graduation, but when she took her then fiance, so Lexi's husband, at the time they were engaged, she took him down to Alabama so that Chris's mother could meet Lexi's then fiance. Lexi tells her grandma, do not tell Chris, because she said, we're not talking and I want no parts. Well, Chris's mom, betrays Lexi's trust again and tells Chris that Lexi is on her way with her fiance. And oh my gosh, Lexi said it was so bad. She said that this was her husband's first time meeting her dad. And she said that she and Chris yelled at each other. She said that Chris didn't curse because he doesn't want to curse in front of his mother. But she said that they were arguing. And I kind of felt a couple of ways about it. Like, especially, she's bringing home a gentleman she's engaged to. They're in love. She wants to spend her life with him. My initial thoughts was, is Chris Fletcher trying to both embarrass her and perhaps sabotage the marriage so that this guy would be discouraged about joining this family? Like, look at all this drama. Look at how they act. Look at how he talks to his daughter. Those were my initial thoughts. Like, he's trying to embarrass her and sabotage her future marriage. Especially when someone is harming you, if they're disrespecting you, or if they're manipulative, the last thing they want is for you to find someone who loves you just the way that you are and who understands you, because then it's going to be that much harder for them to brainwash you, control you, manipulate you, because you have this other person sitting beside you who genuinely loves you. And they're going to say, hey, Lexi, that doesn't sound right. Think about what they're saying, think about what they're trying to do, because this person loves her. So, I feel like as much as they've played her since she was a little kid, the last thing Chris Fletcher might would want would be for her to meet someone who deeply cares for her and wants to spend the rest of his life with her, because then that means they can't get away with the fuck shit is easy. Because she has her person, she has her support system. Those were the thoughts that came to my mind. And I wonder, did they help finance Lexi's wedding? We have to see if she describes that in the upcoming chapters. If she asked her dad if he had some money to go towards the wedding and what was the response, she may fill us in. So, Lexi said that she was in middle school when she learned that her grandma's husband was Chris's stepdad. Lexi said she was in middle school when Chris Fletcher picked her up from school one day. There was a man in the car with him, and it was his biological dad. And she said, especially being a kid, she really did not know how to respond. She said she was just thinking, oh, I thought that was my grandpa, and now you're my grandpa. It was just funny hearing her say it. And I know things happen, right? Especially, I feel like back in the day, the generations ahead of us, they especially were all into keeping secrets. Things happen. Whether you were a teenager and hormones were raging and you thought you were in love, it was puppy love, and you all did it and made a baby, and then folks weren't married. So it's like they're rushing out and getting married, or they may meet someone else who is a family man and they don't care that you're pregnant and they marry you. And I'm not saying that's Chris Fletcher's mom's situation, but I'm just giving the example of that. This is definitely nothing new or a unique situation, but it's just the oddity of it all. It's so odd to like let a kid think that this lady's husband is her grandpa, which he's a step grandpa. And then one day you let him just show up with you to pick her up from school, and you tell her that this is your biological dad, her biological grandpa. It's all of the different crossing of the relationships, the romantic relationships, that can just be a lot. But that is something that she described that happened to her when she was in middle school. And she said that once she finishes her 7 chapters on her paternal family, that she will create other forms of content. Lexi thinks that the Fletchers do not really care about her content. She doesn't think that they're watching. And you know what, Lexi? I am not 100% convinced that they are not watching. Now, will they have days where perhaps they're busy with filming, then they have to get glam for the filming, and then they film for hours? They may not always get to watch your content on time, but I think that they're checking it out. Just like you gave the example of when you interviewed with Giving You the Real Tea, and you said that Nell was a side chick, and they used that for the storyline, and Martell helped them use it, okay? The one guy that they always make excuses for. But I believe that they'll definitely watch your content to see what else they can pull. So I know you're not intentionally helping them out or anything or giving them a storyline, but I believe that they will definitely watch, or even if they assign people to watching, like one of their kids, and definitely production is watching. If there's anything that they can present to Chris and Nell Fletcher to get their reactions to in their confessionals, or perhaps one of the cast members will watch the show, watch your content, and ask them about it in a scene, or production may fill the other cast members in on your content so that they can bring it up in a scene to the Fletchers. So if I was a betting woman, I would bet some money that at least one thing that you say out of all your videos does make it onto the show. And again, I know that you're not intentionally trying to feed them material, but I'm just saying this show has a pattern of relying on social media and public platforms to manufacture storylines versus just letting the reality organically unfold. So again, if I was a betting woman, I would say definitely that they will watch your content and pull something from it to discuss on camera. The question is, what will they pull? Will it be the mystery? I called her the mystery woman until you clarified that it was indeed an alleged mistress that, held your Christmas gifts so that you could have a place to go open them. Or if it was just the meanness to you as a child, taking you along shopping and Nell is buying all the other kids' stuff and not you. We'll have to see what they'll pull from your content, but I definitely believe that they will mention something on the show. And all of you checking out this commentary video, do you think that either the Fletchers themselves or a cast member will bring up something that Lexi is saying on YouTube to ask them about it in front of the camera? I definitely think that that will happen, especially like with Nell's obsession with being a mentor. I could totally see Tisha bringing that up, or anybody, and comparing it to what Lexi has shared with us. Now, to add to, Lexi's opinion is she doesn't think that the Fletchers would care about her content or check it out. Then she went further and said that, Chris and Nell has said that they don't care about that show. They don't care about being on the show, and that the show was chasing them, with production asking them to join the show. Now, we remember at the reunion, not this past reunion that just wrapped up, but the season 6 reunion. It was the season that Lexi was on, during the dinner scene. Carlos said that, Nell, we have been asking you about joining the show. Why were you saying no? And she said, well, can't you look at the show and see why I didn't want to join? And I remember Carlos King making an Instagram post saying, meet the Fletchers, and him saying that they had been trying to ask the Fletchers to join the cast of Love and Marriage Huntsville. So, according to Lexi, they say they don't even care about being on the show, that the show has been chasing them. But with them wanting to, like Nell wanting to be a mentor so bad, and especially with Chris Fletcher being a realtor, I actually think, while obviously production has been pursuing them, I think that they at minimum had secret desires to be on the show, especially because for years it was so popular. And again, Chris Fletcher is a realtor. I mean, this is golden advertising. LAMH has even showed clips of his TikTok videos where he's dancing. And, we've seen his office. We've seen the office that he's renovating in North Huntsville. Of course, he's going to add furniture to it and do some changes. But Chris Fletcher is getting all this advertisement by being on this reality TV show. So I would imagine that to some extent they did desire to be featured on this show, but let them tell it, honey. Production has been chasing them. I think that it's a little bit of interest on both ends. What do you all think? Well, I thank you so much for checking out this video. Please hit the like button on this video, as it is a free way of supporting the channel. And please subscribe to Shows, Style, and Spirit if you have not already done so. Happy Friday. We have made it to the end of another work week. I am so thankful and so glad. The sun was out earlier, and then it just became cloudy a few hours ago, but there's no snow and ice on the ground. So I am so happy about that. Don't forget, we're going to spring ahead 1 hour early Sunday morning. So then at least here in the Midwest, like the sun won't set to about 7:30, 7:40. So it's going to be fantastic. I get my locks retwisted tomorrow, so I cannot wait for that shampoo and the retwist. I'll have to make some content, make some videos. And yeah, we're going to have a fantastic weekend. And I will talk with you all soon. Bye.